Today, I'm answering a simple question. Should you buy a 2021 Audi RS5 Sportback? I've had this car for the last 4 months, and in this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know before purchasing your next car. So the facts are this. You could look at the RS5 Sportback and figure out that it's just an overpriced RS4 with a little bit more boot space or an Avant with less.
The drivetrain is exactly the same as in its cheaper sibling. The interior is the same, the front is almost identical, and you guessed it, the tech is the same.
Where the two start to differ is when you spec the RS5 as a coupe and things start making sense. However, the Sportback on paper is difficult to put in words.
But then you look at it and it starts to make sense. The coupe look with a sweeping roofline is one of my favorite trends, and in comparison with the RS4, the car sports a tuxedo instead of denim shorts or cargo pants like the Avant.
The best way of explaining it is that if you don't want an Avant because you're not into the station wagon look, but still need a bit of practicality, well, the Sportback is for you. Just like any Audi, the final presentation depends on how much money you're willing to fork on the option list.
Radar cruise control, red brake calipers, wireless charging. Yes, you have to pay for all of those.
And it's the same affair with the exterior. Want to have these cool headlights with lasers in them? Well, of course you do. And some of you might have noticed that this car has the black optical package, and in contrast with the Glacier White, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. But both of those options are paid options. You have to pay for a white car. Nardo Gray is free. Now, how does that make sense?
The blackout package doesn't include the side mirrors. That's a different option. I have the base option on my car, so they're silver and stick out like a sore thumb.
Nevertheless, once you spec this car right, there is no competitor that looks as good as this. At least in my opinion.
Audi has absolutely nailed their design language without drastically changing anything, while the other German manufacturers have, well, veered off to something I don't really understand.
Options aside, the real reason why you get an RS5 is for the performance. Under the hood is a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6, developing 450 horsepower and 600 newton-meters of torque, and all of that is connected to an 8-speed automatic gearbox, not a dual clutch like the new RS3, for example. All of that juice is delivered to the all-wheel drive Quattro system, which can send up to 70% of the power to the front wheels or 85% to the back, and is configured to be more oversteery than understeery. The entire package allows the RS5 to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 3.9 seconds. And thankfully, Audi has fitted the car with big brakes as well. So you have 375mm brakes up front and 330 in the back.
And to answer the most frequently asked question, the wheels are an optional extra, but they're not aftermarket, and are some of the best looking stock wheels I have seen on any car. I might be biased though.
To cool the engine down, the grille is larger than the previous generation, finished with this beautiful honeycomb design that the RS models are known for. Flip the car around and you have the signature RS oval exhaust wrapped in a fake honeycomb diffuser, unfortunately, but you do have these beautiful new taillights for 2021 that greet you when you turn the car on, alongside the headlights up front. While we're back here, let's check out the boot. Opens up like a hatchback, very convenient to put things in and out of, and has a lot of space, 480 liters of it, which is only 15 less than the RS4 Avant. The interior is truly where the RS5 shines. And in this car, I have the optional Alcantara steering wheel, carbon fiber inlays, and the Nappa leather with red stitching that brings out that sporty yet subtle personality of this car.
The sport seats are supportive, not too firm, and your position can be saved with the memory function. They can also give you a massage, but don't get your hopes up as the sensation isn't anything to write home about. Audi's virtual cockpit is my favorite display solution, and for the 2021 refresh, the definition is higher and the gauges have been changed, falling in line with the rest of the RS lineup. It's easy to control via the switches on the steering wheel, which has just the right amount of buttons to never need to take your hands off of it. One of my favorites is the RS button, which flips you through 2 additional driving modes you can only get on RS models. Each RS mode can be configured to your liking, giving you instant changes to the drivetrain, throttle response, and exhaust noises if you have the Sport Exhaust add-on. You could also adjust the ride if you have the adaptive suspension that this car didn't come with. More on that later. The MMI system has also been upgraded for 2021 and is now only a touchscreen. The interface is easy to use with big icons that can be moved around according to your preferences and has all the features you would ever want in a modern day car.
Personally, I use Android Auto all the time as it's super convenient and gives me all the applications I need on the fly. However, if you have an iOS device, you can connect Apple CarPlay wirelessly, and if you don't know how to do that, I've made a video right up there to show you exactly what to do.
With up to 30 colors, the ambient lighting is impressive, but not as impressive as the new Audi S3, which has an additional light strip across the entire dashboard. Further down is the climate control interface, which thankfully is still analog, as I am a sucker for Audi's quality knobs. The air conditioning works extremely well, cooling the car down almost immediately, even during the hot summers we have here in the Middle East. The toggle switches are a great addition too. Storage space is adequate up front with sizable door card, 2 cup holders, another cubby which I use for my gate opener, a dedicated spot for your car key, and a wireless charging pad for your phone. The glove box is felted and dampened and still has the fittings for a CD changer, even though the refresh model no longer comes with one.
In the back, you obviously have more space than the coupe. However, if you're over 185 centimeters tall, it might be a bit of a squeeze. Looking at this roofline, you'd think that my head would be chopped off, but thankfully there's loads of space and tons of headroom, more so than legroom.
Passengers in the back can enjoy the same leather finish with red stitching and ambient lighting, but only a single climate zone. The ISOFIX anchors are surrounded by a plastic tunnel, so you won't be scratching the lovely leather when attaching a child seat. However, because of the sloping roofline, it's definitely more difficult to put a child inside than in a taller SUV.
Another plus is that the child lock mechanism is electronic and you could control it from the driver's door, and that will stop children from opening those doors and annoyingly falling out while you're doing 250 kilometers on the Autobahn. Building boost, go! Little bit of wheel spin there, and we're off, and we made it 4.3 seconds. Now we are going up a hill. My best time was 3.9, but keep in mind today is a really hot day. It's 39 degrees Celsius, and that was like my 3rd or 4th launch, and every single time it was 4.3 on that specific road, as it has a little bit of elevation to it. Really consistent. Now, while we're in RS mode, we're gonna go to these twisty corners that we like heading to on this channel. You're gonna see what it's like. Immediately, so much more confidence driving a 4-wheel drive quattro car, especially these newer ones. You can really feel the power being sent from the front to the back whenever it needs it. For example, if you're going through a slow corner and you start pulling mid-corner, you'll feel the front pull away and then reach understeer and send power to the back. It's actually really fast when it happens, but very cool to feel that mechanical grip working to give you the most power you need. And there, I just pulled out of a corner and the car didn't understeer at all. It figured it out. It just pulls you. All you need to do is find a corner, look at the apex, massive throttle, and the car will take you there. It's ridiculously good. I'm gonna take this corner quite fast. It does have a bump into it, but the suspension, I mean, it just takes it. The rebound is perfect. The chassis is stiff. Now in the corner there is a little bit of lean, but I am going pretty fast over here, and it's very compliant. And as long as I'm keeping the throttle down a little bit, the Quattro system is finding the grip where I need it. This is incredible. Honestly, if you're not a great driver, and not many people will say that out loud, this is a car for you because it does everything for you. It's brilliant. I'm not missing the dual clutch. This transmission is very quick. It's an 8-speed and it does the job really well. The only thing is that it doesn't have launch control in it, so you gotta kind of like press the brake and the throttle and do that on your own. But since there is a rev limiter, a soft limiter on the car, I think that limits the amount of revs you can do before you actually launch, and it kind of builds the boost. It doesn't sound bad for a V6, I'm not gonna lie, I've heard worse. Any gear, you got power, lots of confidence when you're overtaking on a single carriage lane, awesome. So I'm gonna get out of RS mode because honestly I don't drive that often in these dynamic sport modes. This is just because you know, the revs are all the way up there. As soon as you look at the throttle, the car jerks around, so it's not very dignified to drive that way. So I usually drive the car in auto mode and it kind of figures out everything. The cool thing about the transmission is that you can control it separately from the throttle response. So you can have a normal throttle response, but you can shift the shifter backwards and put it into the sport transmission. As you heard, it just went into a lower gear, just trying to give me that much more control of the car. The only kind of benefit you get for RS mode is when you're on a track and the car just feels easier to drive, easier to plan, more precise, more of a weapon. But as an everyday car, it is awesome. The suspension is firm, but it hasn't crossed that line that I would say don't get it as a daily car. However, if you're worried about that, you can always get the adaptive suspension and put the thing in comfort mode, and that is a much better ride. Seats are great. You can sit in them all day. Road trip, no problem. Visibility is fantastic. You got 360-degree cameras for parking. I mean, what else do you want? It's a fantastic car. Honestly, it is. Oh, and I forgot, the brakes. The brakes are amazing. You could also upgrade them to carbon ceramics. They're only the fronts if you do a lot of track. I'm gonna see how that does on the track here. So far, I haven't felt any brake fade at all, and there are a lot of braking points on this road, and as I mentioned, it is very hot today, so good stuff so far. A lot of cars do actually have brake fade on this road when I do reviews here, so it's lovely to see that these are holding up very, very well. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and you're still here, make sure to smash that like button. It helps me out with the algorithm, as well as comment down below what you think of the RS5 and this review. What should I do next? If I can get it, I will. And yeah, subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos with that bell notification button, because sometimes it doesn't notify people for some reason. Adios. Have a great one.